Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today I have two important things to talk to you guys about. One is something that I've been working on for the past, honestly, past month or so, but something that's really, I guess, had a lot of work put into it over the past 2 weeks. I unveiled it on stream a few days ago, on my Patreon about 2 weeks ago, give or take, and I wanted to also make a video on it today for those of you guys who don't watch my stream as much, which, by the way, you should. Any Week Wars profiles or add-ons you want are there for free. Swing by, grab them, hang out anytime. But with that being said, I want to show you guys that, and then I also have one pretty big, pretty important, pretty relevant change to demonology that was undocumented, that was sent to me a couple of days ago. We tested it out, and there's no clickbait here. This is actually a pretty big change that adds, in my opinion, a lot of value to demonology in Mythic Plus. So with that being said, let's get into the first thing and then get rolling into how demonology is better, I suppose. Okay, so getting into the first thing here. Now, I will say I've already made this darker. I'm sorry if it hurts your eyes. I put a whole gray background on it. Forgive me, it's a spreadsheet. But with that being said, the first thing that I want to talk to you guys about, I guess unveil on YouTube, is the fact that I have made a Warlock Shadowlands / Castle Nathria spreadsheet for you all. I've been working on it, like I said, over the past month or so, and basically what it does, there's 3 tabs here being Castle Nathria bosses, legendaries, conduits. Now, this is sort of a work in progress. There's a chance that I add a couple more tabs based around like soul binds or gearing, probably sims when they're done, but Warlock sims are still a work in progress. They're probably going to be a work in progress for a while. I don't know what the current state of them is, but with that being said, I want to break down each tab for you guys a little bit. So the first one being Castle Nathria bosses. By the way, up here, links to my Twitch, Twitter, Discord, YouTube video channel. Right here is a link to my actual Warcraft logs from all of alpha and beta raid testing. Let's be real here. There's a lot of Mythic Plus logs mixed in there. Most of them are probably like pugs, and it's a white fest. But still, all of my public logs, all of my personal logs are right there. If you guys want to dig through any of this. To the same extent, all of the testing videos for every single boss, Shriekwing, Altamore, Hungering Destroyer, all the way down to Sire Denathrius, the one time we tested him, are all linked right here. Now, they are on my YouTube channel. However, these are the most recent versions of these bosses. Like, for example, we killed Shriekwing. We got pretty close to killing Darkvein. We didn't see much of Sire Denathrius. And, yeah, some bosses were tuned a bit better. Some were tuned a bit worse. But regardless, those links are all there for you. So as far as the document goes, basically it's the boss, fight type being patchwork, predominantly 2 targets, heavy AoE. There are 4 patchwork bosses this tier. Let me mute in-game sound. Sorry, boys. There are 4 patchwork bosses this tier. Shriekwing, Shriekwing, Destroyer, Artificer's Ironic, and we have a Sludge Fist, which is the, I guess, 3rd to last boss. So for most of the fights in here, now I will say the recommended spec is more or less what I think the fight, what best suits the fight at this current point in time. Keep in mind, it is November 16th. The game comes out in like 8 days, something like that. There's still plenty of time for changes, tuning, buffs, nerfs. This could all change. This video won't change if that happens, but the actual document will. That's the cool part. So the recommended spec for the most part is going to be, it's pretty much Affliction or a mix of AF Destro, or a couple fights being more so Destro, like Sun King Salvation, maybe Stone Legion, and potentially like, well, I mean, maybe Darkvein. Both AF and Destro were good here. Regardless, though, whether you're playing AF, Destro, or Demo, or I guess whichever spec is recommended, I gave a talent breakdown here for Demonology, Destro, and Affliction of what I think probably best suits that fight. Now, I might go back into this and change it to like 0-1, I guess like 1-2, 1-0-3 talent breakdown wise. I thought to myself that this would actually be a bit better, I guess a bit easier to decipher and just see, okay, this is Flashover, this is Reverse Entropy, this is Cataclysm, this is Roaring Blaze, this is Demonic Strength. But apparently all the feedback says people don't like it. So I'll probably change it to like 1-2, 3-0, whatever for now. But it shows Demo, Destro, and AF talents that I think are probably best suiting for the fight. There are a handful of notes up here talking about Demonic Calling versus Power Siphon being a sim thing. Most of the sims recommend Demonic Calling. I feel more or less most of the actual talent builds here, are probably like going to play Demonic Calling, but Power Siphon could gain some value depending on where it just ends up simming. To the same extent here, the Destro fights for the most part that I've recommended are the Reign of Chaos, Reign of Fire, Wilfred's builds, but if you're playing Destro single target, they're more focused on Roaring Blaze in CDF, And the AF fights here that are labeled like SL/Writhe and Agony or Writhe and Agony/AC, SL, whatever, it's sort of going to depend on what the fight really looks like in progression, mechanically, just what the fight demands. So Sims might point you in one direction for pure single target or two target, but that might vary a bit depending on your raid comp, what the fight actually needs. Legendaries here. So this basically recommends, or this is more or less what I think you're probably going to be playing in this setting for each spec. Demo, for the most part, recommends Bale Spiders. There are a few fights. Implosion, Synergy. Bale Spiders is more or less, I feel, probably your best single target effect we have right now. Although I will say Synergy and even like the Hand of Gul'dan one that gives you a chance to proc Demonic Core when you cast Hand of Gul'dan is not bad. It's probably one of your best universal all-around ones. But for the most part, I've put Bale Spiders here. Once again, this could all change depending on sims and tuning and buffs and nerfs and all that. Affliction, for the most part, is just Agony, Malefic, Wrath. There's a couple that have like Corruption or Wrath Consumption, like Sun King Salvation, which is a huge AoE fight. And I believe I recommended Corruption or Wrath on Stone Legion. Probably more so like maybe Wrath based here, but we're probably just playing Agony Shard Gen regardless. Agony Shard Gen and Malefic Wrath are really strong choices. I feel more or less that Malefic Wrath probably going to be your go-to choice single target, but Agony is relatively close at the same time here. In this column, it's more of a breakdown, like a brief, really brief breakdown of like timestamps or important things happening in the fight. Like for example, Shriekwing goes into phase 2. The first time at 145, the second time is 415. So if you want to play on cooldowns around that, go for it. Talking about the dog boss, dogs dying, movement on Destroyer, giving you timestamps on a fight like Lady Unnerva Darkvein, ad spawn at 48 seconds into the fight, and then 1 minute after in waves, which lines up pretty well with Demonic Strength and I guess technically Vile Taint windows, but at the same time, Phantom Singularity windows, how Dark Color gives you more value. This talks a lot about Council of Blood, Dance Boss being a single target fight in disguise, because when you kill one boss, the other two heal back to full. There's also a typo here, but hey, you're probably going to find a few of those boys. Forgive me, I am human. So, well, anyways, and getting into like Sludge Fist here at the same time, it gives a bit of a, it's a 545 in rage, and basically his charge is every minute 8 seconds, I believe, give or take. So I mentioned that it could favor Demonology with Tyrant timing. AF is probably the best overall spec to dump actual CDs here, because he charges a pillar every minute and 8 seconds and takes 100% increased damage for 12 seconds. So Destro, for example, can't dump all of its CDs in that window because Infernal, half a minute. It can get a lot of value, but, well, not as much as AF with Rapture and Dark Soul and all that kind of stuff. And to the same extent, if you set up Demonology properly, Demo can also get a lot of value there. So moving on to Legendaries tab. Now, these aren't necessarily, I mean, they're in depth, but one of my biggest, I guess, frustrations, or I guess frustration to this point, is that, listen, there are a lot of awesome lists out there, I'm sure. There's a lot of typos in here, actually, now that I'm reading over this. I'm sure there are a lot of awesome lists out there that have legendaries and conduits and all the stuff listed with sources. But you know what? I can't find them. I feel like I can scour the deep web and can't find this stuff. Like, it's almost impossible. Now, I know Wellhead does have lists, but I've tried to find them. Like, when I Google, for example, Warlock conduits, Warlock soulbinds, Warlock legendaries, I had to like dig through 5 articles. I wanted a concise, precise, just document, bam, AF, Destro, Demo, Universal Warlock legendaries, all classes, the slots, where they drop, what they do, where if they're good or not, where they're good. So basically, this is your legendary tab. It shows all 4 for each spec, the effect, what gear slot, where it drops specifically, which a lot of them had just been labeled Torghast. They haven't said where in-game. But recently, they removed the actual in-game part of, they removed like the source of the legendaries in-game. Now, I doubt they're retooling it, but the actual source drops were removed in-game, which is odd. Regardless, this is more of like my take on the legendary, where it's good, where it's bad. And then here I have a Mythic Plus grade for these effects. Now, I'm going to say this is more or less my opinion. Mythic Plus and rating. This is more or less my opinion. I could be right here. I could be a little off. I think I'm pretty spot on, but it's opinion based. It's not factual. It's just my actual opinion. So we have like Agony, Shard Gem being good for rating, good for Mythic Plus. We have Malefic Wrath being good for rating, okay in plus. Sacrilash's Dark Strike, Corruption Slow being better in plus than rating, which, I mean, there are a few fights you can use this in rating, but just because there are 2 fights like Sun Kings, maybe Stone Legion, or maybe another fight. I'm not going to be giving it an A because it's great in those fights and garbage in the rest, you know. Same for consumption, and yeah, for the most part, you can pretty much figure it out on your own. But I wanted just an organized list of where they drop from, what they do, their overall grade, what slots they are. Here you go. As far as conduits are concerned, this tab is similar to the legendary tab, but also a little more in depth. You have Af, Destro, Demo, Kyrian, or I guess all 4 covenants, however you want to call it, and universal conduits here as well. Finesse, endurance, potency, with grades for Mythic Plus, grades for rating, and you also have the actual conduit name, the effect, the source where it drops as well, because once again, it's impossible to find a list if you're not in game at this point, I feel at least. Strength and uses, and ranks. Now, these are, from what I've seen, the most, I guess, up-to-date ranks for all the conduits, but, well, tuning is still going on. Once again, this could change. Now, that being said, if you look at the effect here, basically it lists X%, X seconds, X damage, whatever. The X value is the actual rank here. So the first rank you see is going to be basically the first rank of the conduit. Now, for the most part, I was going to like make some kind of alteration to this to just like to display rank 1, rank 2, rank 3 better, but I don't have enough room. For the most part, you can just look at it. Rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so basically it's here, once again, with a plus grade, with a rating grade, and this is my opinion on these conduits, but we've played a lot of alpha, we've played a lot of beta, we've tested the whole raid, I feel like 5 times at this point. We've done all the keys multiple times. I feel for the most part, this is a pretty accurate analysis. Now, somebody also did bring up on stream yesterday, which I assume this would be just the conduits, like the grading scale here. The grading scale, like A, B, C, whatever, it's only for like, you're only comparing against other AF conduits. I'm not saying this is like an A compared to everything else. That was sort of a question that I got, or I guess like comparatively to like the general ones, or the universal ones. It's more or less just comparing them to other AF conduits, other Destro conduits, other Demo conduits. There are some universal ones, like the Kyrian one, or the Necrolord one. And it's hard to sort of give these a grade because like, the Rapture effect is probably a bit stronger in plus than the Chaos Bolt effect or the Demon effect, but I mean, it is what it is. And to a similar extent, we also graded Wilfred's like that a bit too, giving it an A to B because, hey, it's great for Destro, it's okay for Demo, and it's not very good for AF unless there's some weird, like, 1-minute Dark Lair build that emerges somewhere. But yeah, like I said, boys, that's basically it. If I'll have a link to this in the video description. It's probably pinned in the comment section as well. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Yeah, I'm probably going to be adding another tab or 2 over the course of probably like the first week or 2 of release. And my plans are to keep this document updated over the course of Shadowlands. So if you want to check back or look at it or bookmark it or whatever, there you go. With that being said, let's get into the big undocumented demonology change, which makes us, I feel personally, a lot better in Mythic Plus. So we ran a couple keys on a stream last night with this build. The build we're playing, you can see here, we're playing FTS, Demonic Calling, Dreadlash. It's pretty much like the normal, I guess the normal big dog build we've been looking at for a while. From the shadows, procs with Dreadlash AoEing, reprocs off of the actual Carnivorous Dreadstalkers, or sorry, Carnivorous Stalkers conduit. But the big thing here, one of the two, is that we're actually playing Born of Blood here, which Shelley mentioned to me on stream a few days ago. This conduit, I will say, I think we've maybe slept on it a little bit. This conduit makes demonology feel so much smoother in Mythic Plus, in single target, in everything. Hand of Gul'dan having a 25% chance to give you a stack of demonic core means, I mean, like, more shards, more imps, more implosions, more everything. It sort of it takes us from a semi-clunky way or feel to something that's a lot more smooth, much smoother. There's times with certain procs here and like refunds off of Dreadstalkers and imps expiring or whatever where you have to actually just dump so many demon bolts. There are times you don't even cast Shadow Bolt for 20-30 seconds. I feel like that might be a bit excessive, but still. And it's just really impressive. I've been really impressed with this conduit in conjunction with Carnivorous Stalkers. Now, to the same extent, we also played a different legendary. We ended up playing Horn Shoulder Pads of Nightmares, basically the one that gives you a chance to cast a free Hand of Gul'dan whenever you cast one. So the way this works is that if you cast a Hand of Gul'dan for 3 shards and this procs, you get a second hand with 3 imps. If for whatever reason you do a 2-shard hand or a 1-shard hand, you'll get 2 imps or 1 imp. So it basically replicates whatever hand procs it, it replicates how many shards you put into that. But that's not the cool thing. So, by the way, there's going to be a weak warrior here that pops up that tracks imps. I want you guys to... Let's just do this. Let's just do this, all right? I'm going to attack this thing. Pets on passive. Let's kill it, all right? We're in combat. We're out of combat. I'm waiting for my imps to expire. Still waiting. Still waiting. Still waiting with an awkward silence. They changed the actual duration to how long imps last outside of combat to 40 seconds. 40. Technically, it's a bit shorter based off their initial lifespan, but 240. I can still implode. Half a minute later, they change. Like, it's 40 seconds now. One of Demonology's biggest strengths or weaknesses in Mythic Plus is if your tank is pulling, if your group is moving fast, right? Like, once again, the weak warrior here, I have a link to it in the video description. It's made by Darianopolis. It tracks actual like imp count here, like total imps. This is the imps in the hand. They rule that way if you cast, and this is the actual remaining duration on them. It'll show more seconds outside of combat or less within. It's awesome. But it's really cool because one of Demonology's biggest strengths in Mythic Plus is if your tank is pulling fast, if your group is moving, being able to chain resources, chain like demonic core procs, chain imps from one pack to the next, keep the actual resources flowing. If your tank is pulling slow, though, Demonology loses a lot of value because you can't really... Your imps will expire. Or previously, they would expire outside of combat. But now, this makes things really different. And we've been talking for a while about the changes to the dog build, how they nerf Dreadlash or nerf this or nerf that a bit, or nerf Carnivorous Stalkers. I'm not sure if those nerfs or changes or whatever were directly because of the actual imp duration extension outside of combat. But the thing is, playing this build with FTS and Dreadlash, your dogs are a 20-second cooldown. So this basically means that every pack that you go into, if you have imps rolling from the last pack, you can just cast your Dreadstalkers into like, a 3, 6, 9 imp implosion or so. It's actually just insane. Our biggest implosion yesterday on stream in like 3 keys that were half runs we wiped and the key fell apart was 25 imps, I believe 26. It's really insane the value you can get from one pack to the next. Like, I know for people who have played Demonology for a while, you know what I'm saying. Going from one pack to the next really quick, having your resources, having everything going, being able to jump in, implode, or go right into like a boss with 9 imps rolling and be able to just go like, all right, dogs, last hand into your tyrant. Like, it's not even just a single target gain or an AoE gain. It can be a single target gain too. It's truly insane the value you can get. You have 3, 6, 9 imps rolling. All right, cool. Let's roll in the next pack. Launch your dogs. They're still casting a bit. You go hand into an implosion, or maybe even less. Maybe you just have 9, 12 imps rolling. You go right into an implosion. Oh, and by the way, don't forget that your tyrant also with consumption no longer consumes imps now. He just extends them. So like, we have 8 imps rolling here, but like, I mean, there have been times that I've had so many imps rolling, wasted a proc, I believe actually, but like, we're at like 19, 20 imps right now. Like, just, oh, by the way, cast dogs, ready? Just 20 imp implosion, like, bam. It's actually insane the value you can get. And that right there is technically not really like a huge plus with like, the change right there doesn't really affect the actual like tyrant extension with multiple imps and baleful, but the value that Demonology can get out of implosion now from one pack to the next is truly insane. Keep in mind that implosion deals the same damage to all enemies within 8 yards. Like, so previously, this is actually a pretty decent damage breakdown here. It's about what we saw at the end of the run yesterday. Previously, Dreadbite was dealing, the majority of our damage. We were playing the called Dreadstalker's Legendary, the one that increases your Dreadstalker damage based off how many Hand of Gul'dan casts you cast in between each dog set. But shifting more towards like Born of Blood and this Legendary, more Hand of Gul'dan like procs gives you more imps, more demonic core refunds, or more, I guess more demonic core procs as well. Off of your Hand of Gul'dan cast smooths out the rotation so much, and also gives you the chance to spawn more imps, more imps, more imps. It's truly insane. I'm really surprised this change is undocumented, but it's massive. It's really big for Demonology and Mythic Plus. Whether you're playing the Dogs build or not, it might favor the Dogs build more in AoE in a sense because, hey, FTS, Shadow Flame damage being AoE'd by Dreadlash, Implosion is Shadow Flame damage. But this change is truly, it really is massive. And it sort of makes sense as to why maybe they were trying to tune this change around like Carnivorous Stalkers being OP and the Dreadlash nerfs and all that. I think it's all starting to make sense now. This change for Demonology and Plus, in my opinion, no clickbait here, no cap, boys. This is a huge change. It's pretty big. And hey, we also have an interrupt in Axe Toss, by the way. Don't forget that. Thanks for watching, dudes. I hope the spreadsheet we talked about at the start of the video is actually a help to you guys. I know that, like I said, for me, finding one just good reference point for legendaries, conduits, Castle Nathria, builds, all that was a struggle. So I personally, I'll be using it, and I hope you guys are also, you know, at least looking at using it to some extent as well. Hopefully I was able to help you guys out with a bit there. And I have to say, people complained a bit about a previous video of Demonology being clickbait. There is in no way, shape, or form any clickbait in this video. This change to Demonology truly is big in Mythic Plus, and I hope that it helps push Demonology to being a more, I guess, accepted spec in Plus. The damage with this build, after playing it in keys a little bit, it's there. You're not beating fire mages, but hey, they'll be nerfed in a week or two, or a few days, probably. Let's be real here. Mages have been nerfed 4 days in a row, and, you know, all is well in the world. But being real, like, this build is solid, and I am excited to play it more on stream and even heading into the first few weeks of Shadowlands. Let me know what you guys think of the spreadsheet and this new Demonology build. I guess same build, but the changes to imps in the comment section below. Any questions, feel free to ask them there, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Once again, any Weak Wars profiles or add-ons you see here are indeed available to you guys for free on my Twitch. Swing by, hang out, drop a follow, ask any questions anytime. Thanks again, dudes. If you guys want to see more WoW content, be sure to hit the subscribe button below and smash that like button right down there as well. Much love, guys, and I'll catch you all again, technically tomorrow for a leveling video on YouTube, and also tomorrow on stream. We're getting close to Shadowlands launch, boys. I'll see you all again soon. Peace.